So I thought I might introduce a very simple mindfulness practice that can help us integrate what Marius and Lisa have been talking about, is this integration of what are we feeling, how is it showing up in our behaviors, how is it showing up in our thoughts, so that we have a way to take that courageous step to notice what's going on for us. And just like we've been discussing, that's going to give us hopefully a little bit more information, a little bit more resolve to know what we need next, what we might need to honor in order to serve ourselves and therefore serve others. So this is called the STOP technique, and I'll just walk us through the definition and then a very short practice so we have a chance to taste it. So STOP, S stands for stop, and that's really an invitation to take a pause from our usual conditioned habits of thought, patterns of thinking, our time travel, where we are visiting the future or going in the past, and actually a pause to see if we might enter in the moment. And then the T, much like we did last week, is an invitation to take a breath. And on a larger level, it's an invitation to relax, to let our shoulders relax, maybe let our jaw relax, any areas that we're holding some tension. It's really to remind ourselves right now that there's nothing actually to fight or flee or even to freeze from. That right now, actually, it's an opportunity simply to focus on being and be curious. And then the O is to observe and to open. And that's really opening up our senses to take in what's happening around us, take in what's happening within us. It's a great opportunity to feel into our bodies, and our emotions and our thoughts, and be curious. In a sense, we're kind of investigating the truth. Like a meteorologist might sense what's going on in the weather, we're kind of getting the sense of the patterns within us. And then the P part is to proceed into the moment now with a little bit more information, with a little bit more detail that we might make a more wise, more kind choice from. There's a quote from Louis Cozzolino, a psychologist, that says, "We are not the survival of the fittest, we are the survival of the nurtured." And I love that, because I think that speaks to really our ability to not put so much attention on doing and trying to get somewhere, but actually more a function on how we're being in relationship with ourselves and other people. So if you're ready, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to continue together, stop as a starting place. And so it's an invitation to kind of just let yourself arrive. You might have already been planning what you're going to do after this call, or judgments about whether you like what we're talking about, or maybe even mourning some other experiences. So we're going to let all of that go for a moment and just see if we can tune into and choose to be here. We might have to do that over and over again in the next few minutes. And then the T part is to, again, take a few breaths, which might be down into your belly. You might choose to slow your breathing down a little bit, so really the exhalation is a little bit longer than the inhalation. And as you're doing that, it's also an invitation to just notice if you're bracing right now, like squeezing your hands or holding your back stiffly. And if there's a place where you could just soften your posture. We're kind of just telling our body that right now we maybe don't need quite as much armor as we've been carrying. So wherever softening is possible, just letting that happen. And now the O part is to start to open our senses and observe. So what might you observe? You could observe maybe your body and just where it feels most comfortable. For many of us, that might be in our hands or our feet, or with our breath, or anywhere else that you notice. And if you find places that are comfortable, even if they're small, that can be a nice place that we can return to if we notice some more challenging experiences even in the next few minutes. You could also observe even parts of your body where maybe you're feeling a little bit less comfortable. So as I'm doing that, I'm noticing my heart rate's up a little bit. I'm noticing my shoulders are a little bit tight. Kind of just making space to notice these different parts and not needing to change them or even analyze them or fix them. Just really acknowledge things as they are. It's this curious, kind stance. And we can start to, as we're doing that, feel into what might be some of the emotions that are visiting us right now. Our body can be a wonderful cue. So maybe there's a bit of anxiety that we're feeling. Either we can detect it in our breathing or our heart rate or our tightness. Maybe you notice kind of a slumping posture and maybe a feeling of sadness. Or maybe there's an overwhelming sense of joy or calmness or peace that you're feeling, or some combination. And again, if it's difficult, you could come back to a place of ease just till it feels wise to proceed. So we're kind of making kind choices all the way along. We can also notice our thoughts. So we can notice both what kinds of thoughts we're having. We could also notice even our state of mind. Open, closed, scattered, or curious. Are there thoughts that maybe are feeding into a sense of anxiety? Are there other thoughts that maybe are supporting us to feel some gratitude? So again, just noticing what's here. With no other purpose than simply to see, take a look, trusting that there's a part of us that knows how to hold all of this. And then as you're ready, the P part is to proceed. So we're going to take what information we've got, whether it's from our body, from any emotions or any thoughts that came up, and we're going to proceed with some compassion. What do we notice our system needs right now? What does this moment need? As I was tuning in, as an example, I noticed my lips were a little bit dry, so I'm going to have a sip of water in a moment. I noticed, just looking out the window, I noticed the sun shining everywhere except for where I'm sitting right now. So proceeding with compassion actually just feels like getting myself outdoors for a few moments. But noticing what's true for you. Maybe it's connecting with somebody that you've wanted to today, or giving yourself permission to have a nap. Whatever it is that actually feels like a kind gesture to honor whatever emotions you've been experiencing and what your state of being is right now.